All right, so this is the last presentation that we're doing. Try and keep it brief and quick and hopefully fun. So we're doing 5 things that I learned in this class, and for me, I guess I'll do 2 of them that are kind of lighter, and then 3 of them that are theory oriented. So number 5 is that Screencast-O-Matic exists. This is something that I didn't know. When I had done this previously, I'd used the kind of recording function built into PowerPoint. However, it didn't seem to have functionality with Beachboard, and so was forced to go a different way. So, I mean, I'm tech sufficient, but I don't necessarily seek out new technologies. So now I have a way to screencast something that is different from, and probably I think better than the traditional one on PowerPoint. And this one obviously is pretty easy to just dump over to YouTube. So that was cool. All right. Number 4, I'm more tough-minded than I thought, apparently, at least according to that Myers-Briggs personality test. My response on that one, or I guess the sum total of my responses was that I was more tough-minded than somebody that kind of is more relationship oriented, which I guess I wouldn't have necessarily thought, but I guess it is what it is. Satisficing, number 3. All right, so now we'll get into the theory stuff. Satisficing, of course, was that notion that sometimes you make decisions out of necessity without having all the information. You kind of settle for the best that you can do. And I think that we all do this in some sense. We kind of always have to make do with what we have sometimes. I've previously heard this in a business setting phrase as dealing with ambiguity. So how do you come to decisions when you maybe don't have all the information? There's something to be said for it. There's also something to be said that it should be avoided at times. So I guess it just depends on how you look at it. But I guess this is a concept that is inherent that we all kind of do. But now I have a theoretical to kind of use there, and so perhaps I can sneak this into a meeting sometime and sound smart. Max Weber's theory of bureaucracy at number 2, and that was kind of that idea of the ideal form of bureaucracy, wherein the individual workers are almost like ants, kind of singularly focused on completing their task in the most regimented way possible, while conforming completely with regulations, never stepping out of those bounds. Which I guess is kind of how we think of bureaucrats when it comes down to it. But I guess there's also kind of a positive to be said for it. So Weber kind of celebrated that as an ideal. It's not always the best way of doing things, and it certainly does have its drawbacks, but it is somewhat interesting to kind of compare it to how things actually operate in the organizations that you've been a part of. And then at number 1, I got to give it up for Mary Parker Follett. This is a theorist that I was completely unfamiliar with previously. I had never heard of her before, but I liked her ideas on situational leadership. I think that's kind of, as a manager in the past, kind of how I dealt with things. The idea of kind of reciprocal relationships. And kind of creating situations where everybody walks away happy, or the win-win situation, I guess, which really was not improved upon until somewhat recently with the great theorist Michael Scott and his win-win-win situations. So anyway, best of luck going forward on your finals and also on your continued studies here at Long Beach State. Go Beach!